Hello and welcome to Indian Masterminds. I am Bhakti Kothari, and today I'm here with a truly remarkable individual who has taken a fascinating journey from the realm of bureaucracy to the world of cartoons. He is none other than Mr. B.P. Acharya, someone whose talents transcend the conventional boundaries of professional life. Through his unique artistic expressions, he has been able to shed light on complex social, political, and cultural matters with a touch of humor and satire. Mr. Acharya's cartoons have the ability to provoke thought, spark conversations, and bring a smile to our faces. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Bhakti. Thanks
So,
to be happy to be with you today.
same here, sir. Same here. The pleasure is all mine. So, you have recently received the Best Cartoonist Award from Telangana's IT Minister, Mr. K.T. Rama Rao. So, when and how your journey as a cartoonist began?
It's a long story. The award, of course, I received last year. That was the Best Cartoonist Award of an organization called Hibis. My journey as a cartoonist began very early when I was in school. I must be around 10, 11 years old. Basically, I used to copy the cartoons of on the Bangladesh war. If I remember, it was around 71. There were a lot of cartoons which I used to get the papers from Calcutta. That was the Amrit Bazar Patrika, which used to come. There was a cartoonist called Amar, and there was also the Hindustan Standard, which was where the cartoonist was Madhavan Kuti. I used to emulate their cartoons. All the cartoons they used to have, the newspapers, I used to make them. And of course, there was R.K. Lakshman, whose cartoons also I admired. He's been, in a way, my mentor for my cartooning. So I kept on doing, copying their cartoons. And in the process, I ventured to do on my own on subjects. So that would have started around maybe 15, 16 years when I started attempting on my own, having graduated from copying. So that's how it began. And after that, when I was in the university in the JNU, we used to have cartoons during the elections, which were very keenly contested. There were different political formations. So I used to have cartoons during that time. They were quite a hit those days.
Yeah.
Otherwise, there was not much of an opportunity to showcase my cartoons. Then, when I joined IAS in 1983, I started putting up cartoons on the wall journal, which we used to have in the Lal Bahadur Shastri National Academy of Administration in Mussoorie. So that was the practice. And I happened to be the editor of the wall journal society called the Spectrum. So some of those illustrations and cartoons I did. One of the interesting cartoons that I made at that point in time was as a probationer. It showed Lal Bahadur Shastri trying to enter the academy, and he was not allowed in because he was not wearing a tie. That was a spoof on the regulation, new dress code they had introduced in the academy that everyone must wear a tie all the time.
Yeah.
So that's how it was. In fact, recently I presented a specimen, a copy of that to the Mussoorie Academy. So to display there, I could get hold of that copy. Some of those cartoons made as probationer, they were in the series called Mussoorie Miscellany and displayed in some exhibitions. Then, having joined the service, it was difficult. There are conduct rules. As an IAS officer, you are bound by you can't make cartoons on every subject. So I used to restrict cartoons on the bureaucracy, laughing at oneself, as it were. So those were the cartoons which I used to publish in the IAS officers bulletin, the monthly bulletin that used to come in our state. So that is when the column started getting called obtuse angle. I kept thinking what to call them. That's how it was. My journey began, as I said, in 71 when I was 11 years old.
Oh, wow. So you've been drawing cartoons ever since you were 11 years old.
That's right.
That's amazing, sir. And like moving forward, out of so many genres that you could have explored, why did you choose satire as your golden key?
As I said, it was a passion that developed on the way. I used to do paintings, portraits, oil paintings, water paintings. But this is something which appealed to me, and I liked it. Instinctively, that this what appealed to me, and I can't say how I chose and why I chose, but because of the habit which formed by copying these cartoons of the masters like R.K. Lakshman. Mario also was there at that point, Mario Miranda.
Yeah.
So those were the inspirations I saw. The caricatures of R.K. Lakshman were particularly appealing. They used to come out in the Illustrated Weekly of India. So having joined the service, it became a little difficult to do cartooning, as I said. So occasionally I contributed monthly cartoons. Difficult to keep up the hobby.
Yeah.
Then sometime around 2008, I was approached by Sucheta Dalal and Debashis Basu of the Money Life. They wanted me to do a column in their financial magazine. So I started doing some monthly cartoons on monthly or quarterly, monthly I think, monthly cartoons on economic matters. So they were not directly impinging on political matters.
Yeah.
So I started doing them for a couple of years. So then there was a break till I retired in 2020. So off and on, there was occasion before I retired, I thought I must pursue this passion, which was kept in the back burner for some time. That's how I tried to revive it and started a weekly column in the daily called The Pioneer, which comes out from different cities, including Hyderabad. So they bring out a weekly cartoon of mine on every Sunday. I didn't want to have too much of a pressure on myself to do it every day, because it's difficult to choose a cartoon, make out a cartoon every day.
Yeah.
So that's how the weekly cartoon column came.
Yeah.
And that is when I was surprised when the jury selected me as the best cartoonist in the Media Awards. And I got it last year during this function.
That's amazing, sir. And also, like you said, about social and political cartoons. So between social and political, which genre do you like the best?
It's difficult to separate the two. Each one impinges on the other.
Yeah.
So I try to avoid directly political subjects where, because of the restrictions as a civil servant, I try to comment more on the social and the bureaucratic and the civil service related matters during the service. Now there's a bit of a freedom having retired, but one is still bound by the habit of being a civil servant. One can't directly criticize the policies of the government or the program. So those are the restrictions I keep in mind. While it's a delicate balance one has to walk through. So personally, I prefer political cartoons, but they also impinge. The political is necessarily social. So the policies of the political policies impinge on social matters. So it is how it. That's how it is.
Right, sir. And of course, you are a master in your field, but do you think the social and political environment today is conducive for a flourishing cartoonist?
It's become increasingly difficult. People are losing the sense of humor. Those were gone are the days when people used to like, even if you criticize, people used to appreciate that. I've heard about Nehru calling the cartoonist and appreciating the cartoons he made. Shankar was the cartoonist at that point in time. But now there is growing intolerance for criticism and the cartooning. There was a case where a cartoonist was arrested in Calcutta, in West Bengal. So there is an atmosphere of which is not very conducive to freedom of expression because of the political intolerance to criticism. It should be taken in the right spirit. The cartoonist is trying to show you these are the areas where perhaps you could improve, or kind of a. That's why I call it obtuse angle, my column. I didn't call it acute angle. You don't try to be acutely critical of anything. Between the acute and the obtuse has an element of humor in it. So I try to search elements of humor in the matters of political decision making, or in the social issues, and try to bring it out. That has been the effort.
So now that we have begun this conversation about obtuse angle, please give us a little more insight into it and how you gained mastery in it.
I wouldn't say I have mastered it. I'm still learning. Cartooning is a trade you can never master. You keep on improving. There are new techniques which have now come up. So I still do the old-fashioned way with the pen and the paper, the sketch pen, and I am not very tech savvy to do it on the computer as yet. So there are new cartoonists coming up, new techniques which I would like to learn. I have still not. So obtuse angle as a column has stuck. So those they are getting published every week. I have also started another weekly column in another newspaper called the Hans India. It is coming every Thursday. It's called the Medley.
Okay, right.
Or the I wanted to call it the midweek medley, but I preferred medley only.
Yeah.
So it comes out midweek. So basically, 2 cartoons a week is what is my my quota now.
Yeah.
I don't want to make it daily. So
Yeah.
let's as I get along.
Yeah.
I could give a weekly cartoon to you as well
Definitely, sir.
to publish.
We would love to. We would love to. Sir. Like we had a conversation about it. I would love to get your articles published on our page as well, like a
Thank you.
cartoon by Mr. B.P. Acharya.
Thank you so much, Bhakti.
Yes, sir. And sir, keeping on this obtuse angle conversation only, in 2017, you told me that you had a cartoon, a week-long cartoon exhibition displaying your cartoons, which was inaugurated at the German Center Goviti Central in Hyderabad. So please tell us a little more about it.
That was the time when there was a civil services day, and I displayed some of my cartoons. And somebody mentioned that why don't you organize an exhibition? So I was not very keen till then to have an exhibition. I was still in the service, but I had to choose cartoons which were relatively non-controversial, non-directly political. Comments were not there. So the Get a Zentrum in Hyderabad, they came forward. They did this week-long exhibition, which was received quite well. There were write-ups in the newspapers. I was happy that it was done. Maybe they're also asking for another edited edition of the exhibition. And someday these cartoons will be published in a collection of anthology of cartoons, I suppose. Let us see. Or I hope for the publication soon.
It will definitely be that way, sir. Don't you worry. And now coming towards your inspiration. So, what or who was your inspiration behind cartooning?
As I said, I began my cartooning in the childhood, copying the masters, R.K. Lakshman, Mario Miranda, Amar of the Anand Bazar group, and the Madhavan Kutty. Those were the great masters I followed. There are many at that time. Abu Abraham also were there. Interesting times. The Bangladesh crisis, the emergency, all that time produced subjects which lend itself to cartooning very easily. Exactly. So that's how I started emulating them. So I would say when I actually met R.K. Lakshman and presented him a cartoon, he was very happy. And normally, if you see his common man never speaks. Yeah. In this case, his common man is telling R.K. Lakshman that you said it. You said it was his cartoon column. He came to Tirupati for a function where I had just began my career as an assistant collector under training. So I presented him that and he was very happy. He autographed it and gave it back to me. So I kept it for a long time. He was my real guru in that sense. I follow his style. I admired his the way he used to pick up stories, and some of his cartoons are still relevant. Cartoons done 20, 30 years are still resurfacing in social media saying how relevant it is now. That's how it is. Timeless cartoons of R.K. Lakshman. That's what I would say.
According to you, who is, like you named so many cartoonists right now. So who, according to you, is the best Indian cartoonist so far?
In India, obviously, R.K. Lakshman has been the best so far. There is no doubt. Yeah. I would rate him the best so far. Mario in a different genre where social caricature on Bombay, on Goa, the cartoons were of a different type, not directly political. The Miss Nimbupani and the other characters which he created are inimitable in their own way. But R.K. Lakshman definitely has been the best so far. There are many new cartoonists, upcoming cartoonists who are also doing well. So each one is trying to excel in their field. But as I said, I don't see too much of a bright spot in cartooning in India at the moment, because many are perhaps a little hesitant, little circumspect now. It has to come out of a kind of a free thinking. The creativity flourishes in cartooning if your mind is free to do whatever you want to say. If there are restrictions, it's difficult to have good cartoons.
Exactly, which is why we also believe that, the art of cartooning is declining these days because people tend to take offense so much, especially in today's time. So, what do you have to say about that?
Which is unfortunate. You see, the one needs to develop a sense of humor. Cartoonist is only showing you a mirror in a way. The mirror, as the caricature is always exaggerated. It's not exactly your face. Cartoon caricature is not a portrait of yours. It tries to exaggerate some feature of yours, your nose or the ears or whatever. You need to laugh at it and take it as it is. But that kind of tolerance seems to be declining, which I hope and pray that this is only a passing phase. We'll get back our sense of humor soon, as a country, as a people.
Yeah.
We need to. I find the youth a little more open. The kind of stand-up comedies they enjoy, and the kind of satire they see, the social media. I think they are a little more open to cartooning and these kind of stuff. Younger generations.
Right. So especially like this day, this cancel culture that has been going on, people are canceling people left and right. So I really wish that the art of cartooning is able to get flourished again. And now moving forward to your preferences, sir. Do you prefer pen and paper while drawing your cartoons, or are you more digi savvy and like to do it on a digital platform?
As I said, I still do on pen and paper. I find that easier. I take somebody's help to get them colored.
Okay.
So I scan it and send it to somebody who does it colored for me.
Yeah.
I hope someday I become digi savvy enough to do my own coloring and the digi. There are new techniques which are unique in the computers to be used, but I am still not very adept at that. I continue my old-fashioned classic way of pen and paper.
That's lovely. That's the best form, sir. Pen and paper. What could be better than that? And now you are currently posted as an advisor to the Indian Council of Medical Research in Genome Valley. So I would honestly like to know, how do you balance your professional and your personal life in a way that none of them hampers the other?
I retired after 37 years in the IAS. I retired in October 2020. And from 1st January, I was with the ICMR for their project in Genome Valley. It was not keeping me busy every day. So after retirement, I am trying to choose advisory roles which won't keep me too busy so that I can't pursue my passion, my hobbies. So I ensure that. So it was not difficult at all. So I feel there is now free space for me to pursue my hobby more. And I can do, instead of twice a week, I can do more now.
Yeah, definitely, sir, definitely. And yeah, I think these were pretty much all the questions from my side. So if there's anything else that you'd want me to add to the feature, sir, please do let me know.
That's about it from my side also. The cartooning as a hobby for a civil servant is not very common. Not many bureaucrats have pursued it, partly because of the inherent risks involved, perhaps the hazards of the conduct rules and you being hounded out for some political comments. So it has been a very delicate tightrope walk one has to do as civil servant. Even after retirement, one thinks like a serving officer, so one cannot be too openly critical. So that is what these constraints have. 37 years of service have taught me how to careful, how to tread the tightrope carefully. That's how it is. So I hope. But one thing for a civil servant or a bureaucrat to pursue this hobby or any hobby is an avocation which keeps you alive as a human being. If you are always busy in your office work, in fact, the creativity in general helps you to perform better. That's been my assessment, and I tell that to my trainees. I would have trained over 2,000 trainees in the institute that I was heading before retirement. Dr. M.C.R. HRD Institute in Telangana in Hyderabad.
Hmm.
So I used to always say, you pursue your hobby, whatever you want to do, music, writing, or cartooning, painting. It refreshes you and recharges your batteries for doing the real work. So it's always better to have a hobby which you can pursue and go back and recharge yourself. I wish all the new aspirants to the civil service and if those who are joining the service to pursue some hobby, if not cartooning. Cartooning is also an interesting hobby to pursue. Thank
Indeed,
you.
indeed. And it was a very, very enlightening conversation with you, sir. Your decision to pursue your passion for art and cartooning after such a successful career in the civil service clearly demonstrates the power of following one's dreams and the pursuit of personal happiness. So thank you so much for joining us today.